Hello, ladies and gentlemen, namaskar everyone. Now, this video is the review for the very fantastic, mind blowing, hair raising, jaw dropping book called Death and Inside Story. If you have not read this book, I suggest you to take our audiobook from YouTube and listen to it. I have narrated it and it's pretty much good. Now I'm going to review about this book today. It is written by our Sadguru. He is a wise man, as you know it, as everybody knows it. He is a wise man, yes. Now let's go to the content of the book. Life and Death in One Breath. Death. Now what is death? He talks about death. What is death? How does death occurs? Is death an end or everything like that? He goes on exploring everything about human mechanism in this book. There is not anything other than the human mechanism. How human mechanism function? What is the purpose of human mechanism? How can we cross our limits? How can we cross our limitation? He talks about all those things and they are very, very, very fantastic. Now, exploring death. Is death a calamity? Stop inviting death. Like those things, you should live well, and all those things are in this topic. Now, the process of death. How does death happens? What is the mechanism of death? He talks about the mechanism now. What makes us tick? Why are we getting older and older again, like that thing? The bubble of Panchapranas. This Panchaprana thing is very, very significant because our body and everything, he talks like that. Our body and everything is about the play of prana. So the prana has 5 different dimensions to it. One is, I don't have to go through all the detail, but prana, Vyana, Apana, Samana, and Udana, like those things. There are different dimensions of energy, and how those energies will exit in death. In what stages will it exist? At what time will it exit? And how much long time will it exit? While we are if we get shot, if we get bullet shot, then we don't just pop out from the body. The death, he says, death is a process of getting out, like the birth is a process of getting in. Likewise, the death is also the process of getting out. He tries to explain that thing. The sequence of death, the chakras, the gateways of exist. And when we leave our body, we go through a chakra. And that determines our next body. What kind of body are we getting into? That determines which chakra are we getting out of. So there are 5 basic chakras. He explains all those things. And Muladhara is the lowest chakra. If you go from there, your life will only be about food and sex and sleep, all those things. He talks about chakras. You must read this. There are lots of things to know, to explore. The quality of death. What type of death is good? What type of deaths are bad? In society, the way we call good death, bad death, all those things are just settled. And he talks about the fact. What is good death? Suicide. In suicide also, one may have bad death also, one may have good death also. If one is willing, one is very happy at the ending moment, then that will be a good death. If one is very sad while he leaves the body, then in embodied state, in disembodied state, he will have bad tendencies, and his miseries will multiplies 100-fold, 1,000-fold, and million-folds. Likewise, if he is in a good state, he will be in 1,000-fold good state. If he is in a bad state, then he will be in 1,000-fold bad state while leaving the body, after leaving the body. And transmigration, he talks about going into another body and walking on it, like using other bodies. Like how we use this body, he talks about getting out of this body consciously and getting into another body which is made or which is ready to get possessed. Now, seeking the next dimension, Mahasamadhi, he talks about dying is not purely end, but Mahasamadhi is the purely end. After that, after having Mahasamadhi, no, the person will not come back. He is just gone forever. He talks like that, and how his wife Vijji got into Mahasamadhi, how she left her body, and all those kinds of things. The gracefulness of death, preparing for good death, and sleep, ojas, and death. This ojas thing is also very interesting. You must read this. Sleep also, and how can we utilize our sleep? If we become conscious in our sleep, that is the great possibility. He talks like that. And does death need preparation? And how are we going to prepare for death? He talks about all those things. How to deal with the fear of death. Fear of death. Unless we touch something beyond the body and mind, until then we will have the fear of death. There is no way of ending it. The fear will be there inevitably, because we have not tested anything beyond body and mind. That's how he talks. And how to live one's old age. And he talks about Vanaprastha Ashrama. What is the science behind it? Why a person should take this like that? Dying in Kashi, and he talks about significance of Kashi also. Here, Ranchi and Kashi. Ranchi in Nepal, there is a Ranchi and Kashi. There is a one saying: if you want, what? I forgot it. Assistance for the dying. The importance of the last moment of life, and how can we assist the dying person. He talks about all those things. He talks about the science of all the rituals, and all those things. Rituals of this Indian subcontinent. The Hindus mostly have different kind of rituals after death, and after in every year they perform some kind of rituals. And what is the significance of that? All those things he talks about it. Dematerializing the body. Sadhguru doesn't talk about these things in open, but in this book there is no such thing as open. Everything is just, there is no boundary to it. He talks about everything, just about anything. So you should read this book. Dematerializing this body. He talks about some yogis dematerialize their body so that other people don't have to carry the body. And he talks about Runana Bandha also, a kind of information that we get of other people while touching, while seeing. All the Runana Bandha we get to have. And ancestor worship, he talks about those things also. Training Kala Bhairava, you should read this. This is fantastic. Ancestor worship, heaven and hell also. Death of infant. Why an infant? There is not full. The life has not gone in full quantity. I would say quantity until the age of 4. Before the age of 4, life is not established in the body. That's what he says. After 4 years of age, a child is completely established. He says like that. And when the life enters into the womb, after 42 days, 45 days, a life enters into the womb after conception, and if it's the life of some enlightened being like Buddha, then it will wait for some time. He talks about those things also. Very fantastic things. You should read it. Definitely read it. Now, essential nature of grief. Why do people grieve? He talks about all the people are dying in this world, but no one is getting worried about. Only when one person in his family dies, he worries about it, because that is selfish. That is purely my thing has gone, that's why I cry. Other people are dying, nobody is crying. That kind of the grief here is of the identification. He says the large scale death and its consequence. This is also mourning period, memorial, samadhis, and pyramid. What are the significance of pyramid? If it is a 56 degree then of pyramid, then 56 degree angle of pyramid, then it can preserve anything. The Vyana Vayu is Vyana, the prana called Vyana. Vyana Vayu is responsible for disintegration or keeping the body integrated. If pyramid is of 56 degree angle, then the Vyana Vayu cannot go out of the system, of any system. If of the system of tomato also, if tomato will rot in 6 days, then if we keep the tomato in that pyramid, then it will take about 3 weeks to rot. That means it does not let it rot. For health purpose, to sit inside the pyramid is good, but a spiritual purpose, then there is no such any significance. He talks about those things. What are ghosts? Now he talks about ghosts. Ghosts are disembodied being. He says like that, dissolving his incident about in America, that Native American people. He talks about all those things. Nirmanakaya. Nirmanakaya means beings who does not have physical body, but they retain their subtle body, and they come in years like 100 years. They come once in 100 years or 1,000 years, like that. They are Nirmanakaya. And he doesn't talk about Buddha, but also says that Buddha is also a Nirmanakaya. He is there in subtle bodies, and he says, and Buddha has promised that until everybody, this is not said in this book, but if you search in Osho's text, if you search on Google also Osho on Buddha, like that, if you will find that Buddha has promised long time ago while he was alive. He said that unless every people in this world is enlightened, I will not take Mahaparinirvana. He promised like that, and he is keeping that promise. Still, in every day of Buddha Purnima, 500 enlightened being has to gather there to make the Buddha descend there in physical form, slightly physical form, like ghost form. He will come there. Likewise, he talks about Babaji also, Nirvana, Mahavatar Babaji, downloading beings, and this downloading being thing is talked in Lobsang Rampa book. If you have read Lobsang Rampa, he talks about there are bodies inside underground of Potala Palace. The bodies are kept there, and that body is used to download the other beings, the beings of other worlds, and do certain things in the earth. Likewise, the things he talks about, these things, downloading beings. And Sunira also, Sunira has made this one being who is like Shiva, and Krishna has invested something of his on that being, and Buddha also has invested, and many yogis have invested, and that being is still around. But we have to prepare a body to let him inside that phenomenal being. He says the riddle of reincarnation. He talks about reincarnation, how it happens, how do we get into animal form, or bees or ants. In one video he says ants and bees, they have no sense of individual, and they have their hive is one individual. Likewise, in the past recollection in children and exploring past life, and he talks about his past life also, my past life also, and why you should live for 84 years and one drop is spirituality. Even if you are for one moment with Sadguru, then if you are receptive enough, if you are silent enough, if you are nothing, if you are just listening, if you are just being with Sadguru for just one moment, then your liberation is fixed. He says like that, you will not be reborn in this life, in next life. So by this he ends this book. At last I want to say that, yes, at last I want to say you have to read this book if you want to know something beyond this body, something beyond food, sex, sleep, something beyond all those things, something beyond five senses, something about the possibilities of being human, what it means to become human. If you want to know all those things, then you should definitely read this book. It's like reading, it's like watching Sadguru exclusive, all kinds of things which are not in normal world, which are not talked in normal world, those kind of things are being written here. So you have to read this book is just fantastic, and you should not waste your life doing other things than reading this. This is just phenomenal book. You should read it. And if you like this video, if you want more books in our audiobooks in the form of audio, then please don't forget to like or give comments of which books do you want to comment on, all those things. Please don't forget to I would say don't forget to comment, subscribe, and give suggestions to make our channel more preferable. Thank you very much. Namaskar.